Hello! And after a 15-hour bus trip home, I'm finally back from Germany. And oh, what a trip it was. So, for those who doesn't read my community posts, I came top 64 with Chadmon in Germany. Which, let me tell you, it's such a huge moment for me. And not only that, I was this close, and I mean it, this close to getting into day 2, top 32. So how this video is gonna be structured is that I'm going to start by doing the deck profile first, lining up all of the cards, and I'm going to in detail describe why I chose the ratios, the cards. Since this was the finals, every card mattered for what I thought I was going to face against. After the deck profile, I'm going to go through all of my matchup, describe how all of them went, my experience, the surprises, the shocks, and I'm going to go into much detail about the moment I lost my chance getting into the top 32. So let's get into it. Starting out, I still play my playset of Digimon. Still, I think it's a very good card draw. As I've said in previous deck profiles, you can play the egg that gives you a memory when you attack with a level 7, since this build is specifically built around the fact that you turbo into the GX. You can play that, but since it was a no mulligans format, that extra card sometimes saved me. Trust me, you want to draw that extra card, either if you push out your level 4 and have to attack because you have nothing better to do, or when you get into your top end and you get to draw that one extra card for the finisher. And I still play my playset of Chadmon BT6 on play reveal top 5, add up to 2 Digimon cards with Chadmon, Yesmon or Systemon in its name, the best unbricker card that you can have in your starting hand. And I noticed immediately that because this version of the deck, I don't play as much Gankomons as starter deck Gankomons, so this was able to hit far more level 6s this time, but this card is good in any situation. You're missing your Sistermons, you're missing your level 4, you're missing your level 5, you're missing your level 6, you're missing your level 7, smack it down, you'll get them eventually, or at least get closer to it. I decided to only play one BT7 Chadmon this time. It actually mattered in a few rounds where it was in a part of the first stack going out, because if it was a round where I had a very hard time finding my Sistermons, imagine having problem finding your Systemon when you play 10 of them, I know, but of course it will happen. Looking at top 5 and you can take all of them is good. So the question is, should I play more of these? I don't know, because in comparison to my 2 copies of Chadmon, the Inheritable is better, but this was a meta where that 1000 DP on all turns actually super mattered. Like, you wouldn't begin to understand how many rounds I won because of just 1000 DP difference. This is a really big heavy hitter meta where a lot of Digimon will hit you either unsuspended or they will suspend you and then hit you. Like, the DP matters. So both of these came in clutch in many of the situations. This one when I bricked, and this one where the stack that went out was on defensive. They both matter. I don't actually know what the preferred ratio is, but this was my spicy tech for the tournament. 4 copies of Gaussmon. So, was this the right choice? This is a red floodgate. That has the effect your opponent can't reduce the evolution costs. So, why did I bring this? It stops Garamon, making the ladies and Angie-woman cost free. It stops the level 5 in Grandis from reducing the cost into a level 6 Insectoid. And most importantly, it stops the Greymon X antibody from BT11 from working, making the Digivolution into the level 5 cost 4. So yeah, was this the right choice? Well, I met three Black War Greymon players during this tournament. I won against 2 of them, and one of them I lost. That one being the where I was very unlucky. But in all of those 3 matches, this Gaussmon did matter. If I found the Gaussmon early in the round, I could build a stack behind in breeding and put it down on the field. It mattered so much, because it made my opponent not be able to turbo into any Black War as quickly as they think they could have, and just having that one extra turn mattered so much, like you wouldn't believe. Because what this did is that if they decide to pull out the level 4 and, you know, start doing their things, de-digivolving, popping something, gaining the protection from de-digivolve, and minus DP, tapping the Juja and so forth, the fact of the matter that this was gonna stick. This was gonna stick on the field until they decided to pop it with the Metal Greymon or the X-Antibody. But then it had already done its job, because it made them pay double the memory. The sad part, though, is that I met 3 Black War Greymon players and only 1 Grandis. In any other matchup, this didn't do anything. I didn't meet any Mastemons, and one of my losses was towards a Crossheart player. And as probably a lot of people now realize, Crossheart is a lot better. The BT11 version is a lot better than what people thought. And having Solarmons here instead would have made that match so much better. Because during that match, I probably drew 3 Gaussmons to hand. If all of those were Solars, oh man, it would be a completely different story. But looking at the American finals, this was a very different story. 65%, over 600 people played Black War Greymon there. This card would have mattered there so freaking much. I'm so jealous by the fact that I couldn't meet like a Black War every round, because I honestly think I would have had a higher chance of winning, crazily enough. So this is my tips if you're thinking about running the Gaussmon. If you are in a heavy Bloomlord, Grandis, Black War meta, like that's everything that people are playing, Gaussmon is a great choice. It turns off the entire Bloomlord deck. No Digisorption. Nothing at all. Hidden potential discovered. Gone. It stops the Greymon, making it so much slower for the Black War player, or the War Greymon X player if they run the package, which they do. And then also helps tax the Mastemon and Grandis players as well. But if there is a more heavy Crossheart meta, and Blue Flare for that matter, the Solar is a much better choice. Moving on to the level 4s, I play a playset of the BT6 Bauhackmon. Surprisingly, this card wasn't as relevant this time around as I thought it would. The one attacking effect didn't have that much relevance, except for like in the mirror and like at certain moments during the Crossheart gameplay. But what was more important, just like the starter deck Hackmon, is the starter deck Bauhackmon as well. So like what I noticed very early on in the tournament is that whenever I had a choice between the starter deck and the BT6 Bauhackmon, it was always better for me to go with the starter deck, because that tiny bit of extra DP mattered. Maybe it should be cut down by 1, so like there's more place for like another Chimeramon maybe. Moving on to our level 5s, boom. Obviously we still play the one-off Savior Hackmon. It saved me in certain scenarios. You can evolve into this, play out the BT10 CL, making you turbo into the level 6, then can play out another CL, turboing into the GX. So it still have turbo potential, you just specifically need to have the CL on hand to do that. And there's obviously other good combos you can do with him, like playing out the memory CL so you can keep it having your turn if you crack the one Master from Disciple, making only be 1 cost, making you be able to go into the level 6. Or leaving your opponent at 1, playing out the Sistermon that reboots and you search, or the Sistermon that draws, so forth, so forth. It's a good card, you have to play it. One of our MVPs of the deck, the starter deck Savior, such a good card. Especially where people do be putting the Chadmon player at 3, that probably actually never happens, right? When digivolving, this Digimon may also attack opponents' unsuspended Digimon that you can pull out early, remove a thing from their board, then further evolving it into your level 6. If the Chadmon player has the board control, they will win. We also play 2 copies of Chimeramon. This card is amazing. Playing this deck at locals doesn't really tell you how good of a card Chimeramon really is. Because it being a 2-off in a deck where it will be trashed by the Master from Disciple, the Sistermon, and will occasionally show up in security, so forth so forth. If it's not in your hand, it doesn't have any value. But playing a 9-round tournament, I did see this card quite a lot, and it saved me every time from being able to Jogress a Sistermon and a Bauhackmon into my level 6, or Jogressing 2 Sistermons to finish the game, or many great applications. As I said, maybe it's worth actually to cut one level 4 Bauhackmon for another Chimeramon, so you actually have the guarantee to have it on hand. Because if you don't find this is a good substitution. Because like if one of these guys are in the trash and you put it under, that's good enough. It's a free evolution, you get the good inheritable, you do minus DP on your opponent's field, it's great. Moving on to the level 6s, I play 1 copy of the starter Gankomon, and oh boy, people, every time I was able to evolve into this card, people were shocked every time. Like, people were not expecting to see this card in Chadmon, because I'm not playing Chadmon, this is Chadmon. And I have to say, this card is better than the starter deck Chadmon in my opinion. Because you get to play a Hackmon or a Sistermon from trash only though, but you can still play out an Hackmon, so you will be able to build another stack on field. But this is other effect, Digivolve 1 up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon. That made me, for example, Digivolve 2 Examons when I was out on field. It made me be able to Digivolve a Mervamon and a big X7 at the same time, making all of the Cross Hearts lose blocker. Like, the applications are great. After the tournament, I regret that I didn't play 2 copies. The question is how I will get that into the deck. Because I noticed the fact that since there's a lot of Digivolve, like the Black War matchup, they will Digivolve your Chadmon GX into your level 6, and because of the Metal Greymon. And if they have the Gaio, they will further Digivolve it. Most of the time that means they will Digivolve it down to your level 5. And then they will have the opportunity to blitz and kill it. But there were rounds where I had Ganko, Chad, GX. Meaning if they did the double Digivolve, and Gankumon was the one that was left, and he had like the boost from the Chad, the boost from the Chadmon X, and the boost from like CL on the field, he was going to be big enough that Gaio won't be able to kill him. So every time I could do that chain, I won that round. So I actually suggest playing 2 copies of him. Then obviously the boy himself, Chad. 3 copies of Chad. This card it's amazing. People were not prepared for this card. Like, mostly like Chadmon decks, people play 2 copies of this. It's wrong. I think it's wrong. Because every time I made a stack, the one that was going to do the job of killing their big dude on field, when they retaliated, Digivolving, if they didn't have the Gaio, so they couldn't do the double Digivolve, the fact of the matter that Chad is a natural blocker that was already boosted. So let's say he himself, his one Digivolving effect, boost him by 2000 DP. If one of these inheritables 1000 DP and 1 CL, that means he's 17,000 strong. And if I did the double boost with the GX, that means he would have been a 19k blocker, meaning that the Black War Greymon actually couldn't attack. Their Black War Greymon X could not attack me, because if they did, I would just block and it would die, because it doesn't get that powerful. The Shad is stronger than their Black War Greymon on their turn. Like, that played so much into every single Black War Greymon match I had at that finals. And every time I, for example, were forced to Digivolve, like the top card under the GX was the Chadmon X antibody, it 100% died every time. Because they could just hit with the Black War Greymon X, like remove like tiny dudes with the Hades Force, beginning of turn, reboot, destroy the Chadmon X antibody. Like, no shot. But you still have to play this card. Because the entire point of this deck actually is to abuse its effect. Meaning that when I go into the GX with hopefully the Shad on top, I will put this at the bottom of the GX Digivolution cards, giving the GX the ability to attack unsuspended Digimon. And that's the reason I won every time, because the GX just killed the Black War Greymon X. Because it was like 23,000 DP doing free checks and getting out free bodies. And it's a Chadmon GX Turbo deck, so we played 3 copies. Very important to play 3 copies for the Black War Greymon matchup. If you didn't find this, you were not going to win. Because this is the guy that makes him... Because you essentially, you go into your Gankumon, you play out the CL, turbo into the GX, put it under the Chadmon X antibody, making him 19k, you blitz, you attack over the Black War, it's dead. That's how you win. And most of the time, if you left your opponent like at 5 or 7 memory, if you did the double buff with this effect, giving protection to everything, plus 4000 DP, you had 4 bodies out. Like the CLs are like 9000 DP and the Blancs are 7000. Like, your opponent most of the time can't deal with it, and if they try to deal with it, they will die on the crackback. And moving into our Sistermons, we're playing 2 copies of Blanc, BT6, 2 copies of CL, BT6, 2 copies of CL, BT10, 2 copies Blanc starter deck, and 2 copies of CL starter deck. So just a quick rundown what you do. On play, draw a card, gives every system on blocker. If you have like 6 blockers out, what are you gonna do? CL on play, gain a memory, pumps the GX, Shad, Chadmon, any Huckmon by 2000 DP all turns, can be stacked with 2 Sistermon CLs on field, great. BT10 CL, that's the card that makes you be able to play it out, then you turbo into the GX. It's too good, in my opinion, it's too good. This is what enables your power plays. If this card gets revealed but with the BT6 Huckmon, you should pick this to hand, because you need 1 copy in either your trash or your hand to like pretty much guarantee that when it's time for the GX to come out, you need this on hand. Blanc on play, trash 1, draw 2, great unbreaking tool, it also gives your big stack decoy, and CL gives your dudes reboot, and it's also a great unbreaking card, reveal top 3, take a Huckmon or a Royal Knight to hand, trash the rest, and you want your cards in trash, so it's good either way. And then I play 4 copies of From Master to Disciple. From Master to Disciple is a disgustingly good card, 2 cost, you reveal top 3, take Huckmon, Sistermon or any Royal Knight to your hand, then place it in your battle area, and then you can trash it for its delay effect, reduce the next evolution by 1. It's broken, it's really good. Like, this is the card you play on your first round if you have it. It made me unbrick so many times, finding me exactly what I want. And the fact of the matter that you can use it later to reduce the cost of evolution, so you can go into that extra level. Making it so that like a level 4 cost 1, so you can go into the Savior and turbo into the level 6, so that turbos into the level 7. Or making like this guy as 1 cost, so you can, dude, It has so many applications to situations where it just makes you be able to do so much more with your turn, even if your opponent puts you at 1. Because as you notice here, I don't play any tamers. You don't need tamers in this deck. This deck came top 64 and almost put me to day 2 at the Digimon Finals. I think that truly proves that you don't need either memory boosts or tamers in this deck for it to be consistent enough for you to go into the Chadmon GX. You don't need memory to go into the Chadmon GX, since your pieces makes it so cheap, either by jogressing or gaining memory or reducing the cost. Like, if you have your level 5 inbreeding, you push it out, you are probably going to be able to go into the Chadmon GX every round. So, quick recap. In my opinion, Gauss was the right choice for what I thought I was going to meet. But now that people are probably going to turn far more towards Crossheart, Solar is the better pick. Bauhackmon BT6 can be cut by 1 copy for either a Chimeramon or a Gankumon. Otherwise, I think the deck is very good. I'm very satisfied by the fact that my deck building worked out and what I brought did well. Like, that actually surprised me. While I did come top 10 and 2 other top 32 toppings with my Beelstar, when I did come to the finals, I didn't even get into the 128 because of bricks, and that hurt my soul. So turning up to an in-person finals, playing a deck that is a lot quicker than Beelstar, making the rounds shorter, the game plan extremely more straightforward, building your big stack or responding to a big stack. Like, it's way more simple, it's way more fun, and it probably gave me a much more pleasant tournament experience, since this deck won't take you to a tie, because either you win or you lose. So moving into my matches, it was a good back and forth the first 2 rounds. I took a win, he took a win. In the 3rd round though, he had the nuts. 3rd turn, Grandis took down all of my security. Then he played a cool boy, putting me to 2. If I were to have a level 6 on hand, I could have stabilized, I could have killed the stack and established a board. And if I could have established a board where he didn't have anything prepared, so I could further develop the board until his next Grandis comes out, he could never have won. But I didn't have it. I didn't have the level 6 on hand. It was 2 draws and 1 Sistermon Blanc on field wasn't enough. Moving on to the 2nd round, I met Old Force. He played the best version of Old Force with Jerry and Leomon. Sadly, he didn't stand a chance against this deck, since the Gankumon, when Digivolving, can make everything unbounceable. So, and I could consistently every turn, since he had to set up with a few tamers, Digivolve in the back. He gave me all of the time I needed to develop the hand I needed to just go into the GX, do free checks, make all of my Sistermons unbounceable. And I did it both rounds, doing a clean 2-0. And yeah, like, big respect for that guy. Though there actually was a Old Force at the top tables, so the deck can work. Like, it's pretty neat, the fact that you can go into the Old Force, play out the Jerry that plays out the Leomon. That's actually very strong. But towards this deck, it didn't do enough. In my 3rd round, I met my first Black Wargreymon X, and I was ecstatic. Fun fact, I actually did 0 playtesting against the Black Wargreymon matchup with this deck. Like, I did allow my lovely audience to vote for if I was going to bring this or the safe bet Grandis. Because if I didn't think this deck theoretically could have beaten Black Wargreymon X, I wouldn't allow you guys to vote for it. So I was happy to finally meet my first Black Wargreymon X to prove my theory right. 1st round, I misplayed hard. I put out the first stack way too early, making him be able to kill it, and then it was too late. The second 2 rounds I learned quickly that no, this is not how you play it. You play a game of chicken. I build my stack, put out like rookies, like the searchers, the Blancs to draw me cards, and CLs to further search, the Chadmon to search through my deck. And since I develop a board, eventually they have to push it out. And then I respond by killing it. Since the stack I bring forward then becomes so buffed by the Digivolution effects of Chadmon, Xantibon, and Chad, they have a hard time actually punishing me on the crackback. Since you develop such a strong board after you do your GX play, they're actually going to have a hard time really punishing you on the crackback. Like, they need to spend a lot of memory to do it, and if they spend a lot of memory to do it, they are going to die on their own crackback. So I won 2-1. It felt really good that yes, this was a good choice. 4th round, I met a very lovely guy from Poland actually. He was playing the mirror. Though he wasn't playing the Chad version, he played the Chadmon version. And I won 2-0. My strategy to winning the mirror is actually pretty simple. If the first person who's able to do the double stack GX, doing both the Chad and the Chadmon X antibody effect at the same turns, buffing up all of the sister mons, so not even the BT6 Chadmon can explode them, is the one that wins. Because if I have a GX out on field that's 25,000 strong, and I have a bunch of sister mons, if he tries to respond with like a GX, I can just block, because even if he has the Chadmon in the inheritables, he's not going to remove the sistermon. I can just block, it's fine, and then I just kill him on the crackback. Next round, I met my second Black War Greymon X. The first round I bricked, very hard, so he won pretty easily. The second round, it was actually kind of the same, but a miracle happened. His Black War Greymon wasn't strong enough. He hit into security, the Chadmon GX was there, and that then he hadn't lethal anymore, and I killed him on the crackback. And the third round I had the nuts. I could get out a big GX, a lot of sisters, killed his stack, and it was over. It was actually kind of crazy. So by this point I'm 4-1, I'm on a 4 winning streak, and I've reached top table. So in the 6th round I met Crossheart, and surprise surprise, this guy is one of the people who came top 4 in Europe during the tournament. And I actually thought I had in the first round. The problem was that I developed such an incredible board that a Dexmon just devastated it. And he had the Dexmon in hand and killed like 6 sistermons and Digivolved all of my Digimon, and he just hit for game. Second round, he just out-tempoed me, but he was a great guy, a good sport. Lost 0-2. But him being 4th place later on actually made a lot of sense, because the deck was like, it was insane how fast it was. Though ironically, the guy that did come 1st place, he played 0 removal cards and 0 Dexmons. So if I were to have played against that guy, and I would have put him in the same situation in the first round, I actually think I would have had a shot winning against him. Because this deck is incredibly weak to Dexmon, and I just happened to play against the Crossheart player that came to day 2 and actually played it, which is incredibly unlucky, and there's nothing I could do about it. And this is especially where I regretted Gaussmon, because if I actually played the Solar instead, this matchup would have been so much easier. Because that first round where I had developed that great board, the card I got out from breeding was a Gaussmon. If that would have been a Solar instead, I would have been fine. But what can you do? He was a great guy. It was a big pleasure playing with him. Now, I actually have... Now I'm 4-2. One more loss and I'm out. Next round, 7th round. I see my chance of still going into it. And it just happens that I met one of the more famous German players, Frozen, which Psycho Feather manifested that we were going to play against each other, and it's actually insane that we actually played. And I knew he played Black War Greymon X, and I just knew, oh man, I actually have a chance here. I have a chance to like keep winning so I can get into day 2. First round, I had the nuts, won very convincingly. Second round, he bricked, and I thought, man, am I actually going to go into the 8th round 5-2? So he started building, so he didn't have a rookie. So he was forced to build on board. The problem was that he built on board, went into the level 4, my turn. I didn't think I bricked. The problem was that I never found my level 6. So I built, I played out rookies, his turn, X antibody under the Greymon, security attack +2, attacked, evolved into the level 5 X antibody Metal Greymon, popping the Sistermon, hitting 2 checks. If there would have been a Digimon strong enough to kill him, or like a Master from Disciple, I would have won the match. But he survived those 2 checks. Back to my turn. Still no level 6. I had Savior on hand, but he's 7k DP. So he couldn't even trade with the Metal Greymon, even if I wanted to. Shift back. He goes into the Black War Greymon X, doing 2 more checks, rebooting, trashing my last security. The GX was in there. If the security would have been the other way around, I would have won the match. And still, he had his stack on field. I had 0 security. If I only had the level 6, I could have removed his field and I could have stabilized. And probably still win the match. But I didn't have the level 6 on hand. I desperately play. I push forward, my level 5. I play the Blanc passing turn, and I draw my level 6. Then he Hades forced and hit for game. Like, that feeling of losing because of how unlucky I was, because I probably looked at the top 15, top 20 of my deck. If the Master from Disciple was part of the security, I would have gotten the level 6 that 1 turn early, because I had the rest of the line. I had the Chadmon GX. I could have warped into him, since I had the CL in the trash, because it was the Gankomon I drew. I would have won, but that didn't happen. So we went to round 3. And it was a great match, honestly, a great match. It was a great back and forward. But in the end, he had the nuts, kind of. He could remove most of my board, except a CL. The only thing I needed to win that 3rd round was a Chimeramon. But he was in the last 3 cards of my deck, so I didn't win that round. So yes, I had the chance of going into the top 32 if I won that match, and of course winning my next 2 matches after that, but I did do that. And Frozen went on to become top 8, so he's the second guy to do that. No, 3rd guy actually, one of the Black War Greymon players earlier. The first Black War Greymon player I faced also went into the top 16. So I really faced top competition in this tournament. But if there was anyone deserving of becoming top 8, it was Frozen. He's a great guy. It was an amazing match. It was a good sport. Just sad that... Man, it hurt my soul, knowing I was this close to getting it. However, moving on to the 8th round, I played against the Examon. Lost the first one because I couldn't find my stack. fast enough, and he had 2 Examons on field. Oh, yeah. And the next 2 games looked pretty much the same. I developed a board pretty quickly, so once it came time for him to, you know, force me to suspend and attack, I could just attack with something that didn't matter. I went into my big stack, Digivolving with the Gankamon, everything becoming so strong, attacking over it, destroying his things, and I won the match. And the 9th round, which actually was very surprising, I met Melga. Like, there wasn't really that many Melgas. Most Melgas was actually at the bottom table because Black War Greymon forced them down there. And I 2-0'd Melga. Like, since the Chad makes everything unbounceable, he couldn't bounce my Blanc for the block, so I could just block every single attack he did. So he couldn't do... I won both matches with all of my security intact because I went so quickly into the GX. Because even if I left my opponent at 7, he couldn't do any damage to me, because if he tried, everything would have just blocked him and it would have been like 9k. But he was a great guy, amazing, like a very, very funny, nice guy. We played an extra round after it. We played an extra round after the real match and he kicked my ass. It was super funny. So overall, 6-3. Top 63, 1 win, 1 round, 1 brick from getting into the second day. And 3 of my opponents came top 16, top 8 and top 4. So, man, it was a great tournament. I met everyone was super nice the entire day. Just lovely people. People from the UK, Poland, Spain, Italy, Germany and Belgium. It was a great experience. And big shout out for Roxion that came top 32 and Frozen for helping me, for being great company and making the trip even a better experience. So I hope you found this video interesting. Probably pretty long, but I really wanted to be detailed with my experience since this was actually the biggest in-person Digimon tournament ever in Europe. And it feels amazing being a part of that, and that I actually did so well in it. So remember to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a really good freaking day. Bye bye!